What is up? Welcome to the Existential Stoic podcast. Do you have a hard time finding quiet? Do you feel like there's just noise constantly all around you? Do you have a hard time being quiet? Do you always interrupt people? Today you're in luck because we're going to talk about how to be quiet. I'm Danny, here, my buddy Randy. What's up, Randy?
Yo, Danny.
Do you have a hard time being? Oh, go ahead.
I find myself in these situations all the time where I'm like, why can't people be freaking quiet? Like I'll be out in nature
Yeah.
and their phones going bzz, 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 bzz every 5 seconds. Or I'll be at a meditation retreat and somebody just like literally every time, or in an exercise class, and every time somebody thinks that the goal is to be the loudest breather possible. And so it's like clearly it's a practice for meditation, but like
Yes.
sometimes I think learning how to be quiet could be useful.
They're there to
And for
help you
me,
also try and find that emptiness, right?
yeah. And for me, it's like how to quiet the mind because, there's no problem until I start going like this in my mind about them breathing so loud.
It is funny that you mentioned that too, because I was thinking about that. It is like it's the quiet is both external and internal, because that's my hard thing too, is also shutting off like the internal dialogue and keeping it from just running really fast, even though I'm not verbalizing it, right? And that's
Yeah.
the
Because
difficult
like,
thing.
because like, so much I want to go up to them and be like, shut the F up. But then I say to myself, I'm like, okay, I can tell them to shut the F up once I shut the F up in between my ears.
Oh wow. So never.
Mm,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
hard.
I know, right?
All right, so we have some tips for you. We each have 3 points to try and help you be quiet. I'm starting. So my first one is actually schedule time for quiet. This is actually helpful because I think like no screens, no distractions, just no people. Just give yourself like 10 minutes where you try to be quiet. And I think when I try to do this, I think it's hard at first. It always is. Your brain will keep going. Maybe it feels weird because you're used to having screens on, or you're used to having TV on in the background or something in the background. So it might seem weird. It might feel long. But after a while, I think it just gives you a chance to unwind. And you can actually, I think we need that quiet time to like solve problems and to like figure out our day. It gives us a chance to kind of reflect on ourselves.
Yeah, it's a really great one because it gives you a chance to get that perspective that you need to decompress from everything that's going on in the world. Because most
Yeah.
people are just going from like one calamity to the next nonstop from the moment they wake up until the moment they like pass out because they're so tired from scrolling Instagram before they go to bed.
And a constant like stream of just distractions, that keeps you from actually like really like recognizing anything all day. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great one. So, my first one for how to be quiet is take 10 breaths. So like most of us, we breathe automatically. Maybe sometimes we'll
Hopefully.
meditate or something. Yeah, hopefully. Those of us who are alive listening to this
Yeah.
podcast breathe pretty automatically. But most of us aren't very intentional about breathing. And there was something that I read about like when you get sniped at, one of the best things you can do is just take 10 deep breaths before reacting. And that's like because I can be someone who's so quick to anger sometimes.
Yeah.
And I actually stopped drinking recently because like I noticed that when I was drunk, I would just be like short fuse, and I did not like that person. So I was
No
like, okay,
filter.
forget
Yeah.
forget alcohol. Yeah. But like the that taking the 10 breaths, because yes, it's about the breaths, because when you take those 10 breaths, it gets oxygen to your brain and you can stop and you can stop acting like a Neanderthal. But like also it just gives you that pause between action and reaction. So you can choose to respond instead of just react.
Yeah, they say that's actually useful too for like all different situations, just to give yourself time to think too, so you can actually respond like intelligently. Like, if somebody asks you a question, or if you're unsure, it gives you a chance to kind of get your thoughts together. But like you said too, if you're angry, it gives you a chance to kind of just get things, back to a regular level before you kind of respond to people. That is a good one. I like that because I think, it is important. They talk about that too with our our implicit biases and trying to overcome them as well by using breathing and giving ourselves like a 10-second or 50-second or 20-second pause, I think, before making a decision.
Hmm. Yeah,
To
and
at
it's
least
it's a
myself.
tricky thing. Like I'm very curious right now if I have become a more quick to anger person or if I'm just developing a greater sensitivity towards detecting it. Like because there's
Huh.
really no way to tell. Like nobody's told
Yeah.
me that I'm like very quick to anger, but I've just noticed it a lot recently. And I was like, geez, that's like I don't like that part of my personality. That's like a scratchy part of my personality. Let's try and
Yeah.
buff that out.
You know what's funny though? Like I noticed when I used to drive a lot, I used to get so angry at people driving. But like a lot of times it would just be in my head. You know what I mean? Like yelling like in my head, but not out loud. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
dude, it's
But like,
crazy the
so I
stuff
think
that
like,
comes out in
yeah,
that.
I didn't like it though. It sucks because it makes you up, ruins the rest of your day and everything. It makes you like your blood pressure spikes probably, I'm sure. And it's like, it's terrible. And, nobody wants to be that person either. The person that just flips out all the time. So yeah, it's a really helpful way to kind of combat that too. Um, my second one is actually find a hobby you can lose yourself in. So here I was thinking like, this could be anything like photography, painting, hiking, whatever, anything that you can go do that you enjoy so much that you can do alone, with preferable or with others, but like something you enjoy that you just kind of like zone out when you're doing. You're just kind of in the zone, enjoying it, having fun, no pressure, no like stakes attached to it. I think it's a great way to find quiet and to help you start to see the benefit of it.
That is a really great one. And I know you've mentioned before how like not enough people have hobbies because everybody thinks that if you're not making money from your hobby, it's not worthwhile.
Yeah.
But it's like there's such a benefit to just having hobbies that maybe you're embarrassed to tell people about. Maybe it costs you more money than it's worth. Like, but it's something that you enjoy. And that's really, I mean, really, what's the point of working so hard and making all this money if you're not going to enjoy your life?
Yeah. Yeah, and like and they're fun. It's a fun way too to like I don't know. I always like hobbies too because it's like it's a few things like I will spend money on, but like I really like I know I'm gonna get back a return for what I'm spending on because it's something I'm gonna use, for like a long time. Whereas like a lot of stuff we buy, right, it just sits on a shelf, never gets touched, and then you regret the purchase like immediately. Those things I think even if you do spend a little money, it's something that's like really worthwhile and helpful for you for your life. It makes it better.
Yeah, you can palpably feel that the money was an investment in yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. So my second one for how to be quiet is sit in nature. And this is intentionally sit in nature. Because I know a lot of times I've talked about walking through nature, and that's great. But I think there's like a whole nother level when you actually sit in nature and you just stop there and you like observe what's going on. Like I really like the 23rd Psalm because it talks about he makes me lie down in green grasses. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. And it's
He's
just
really
like
nice there.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like it makes sense because every time I go lay down in green grasses or go beside quiet waters, it always refreshes my soul. So it's like the answer's right there. I just got to go actually sit in nature and not just walk past it and snap a photo for Facebook and then keep going.
Yeah, it's funny too because like I think we need it too. Like we are natural. We're animals. Like we totally forget it or pretend like we're not all the time. And we can go a very long time without actually ever going in nature, like properly in nature, not just like in town or something, but like actually in nature. It's amazing how hard it is sometimes to do that. And I think you're right. Like actually sitting in it, like my favorite thing to do is go on like a hike and then find like a spot like a lake or something and just sit and hang out for a minute and enjoy it. And it makes it so much better to take that time too, to just not just keep pushing through it. Like it's something you got to get done, but something you can actually just take your time with. And I think it does. It helps. It kind of gets us back to like remembering that there's a world around us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It isn't all advertisements. Anyway, my last one is routine. I think this is important too. Like it's important to find quiet if you want to be quiet, but you also have to make it part of your day. And I think, this can be just like, finding time to meditate, taking a daily walk, giving yourself time to go sit on a bench somewhere in a park, something like that. Anything where you're not connected to technology, you're not using anything, you're just sitting, giving yourself a chance just to kind of relax. But make it part of the day.
Yeah, that's really important because it adds so much value to your day and it like gives your day space, especially if you have a very busy schedule. Like I remember when I was working as a vet at this one place that I was working at, there was a nice little lake that you could drive your car in like right to the edge of the lake. And
Oh, nice.
whenever I would always go if I had time before work, even just 5 minutes, or almost always on the way back from work, I would just pull in there and just stop and just like let go of all my troubles. Like just let them
Yeah.
go into the water and be like, okay, that's cool. I know my day sucks. I know this week's going to be terrible. I know things are busy and my boss hates me and all this stuff. But you know what? I'm sitting right here at the lake and there are like the reeds going in the water and there are some ducks taking off. And it's like, it's okay for right now. So I can take this. Yeah.
That's a really good one too, and a good example where like people don't do it enough. Where I think quiet's important to like reset yourself before you go to the next thing. Because like so many people I know, like have problems at home with their relationships or with their kids or with whatever because they bring their anger from work home, and then it gets misdirected at people around them because they can't tell their boss to go f off, or you know they can't express it clearly at work because they'll get fired or they'll get in trouble. So it ends up just going home with them, and then you kind of let it go wherever it is easiest, right? And you don't need to take it out on people, so it's easier to kind of reset if that's the case. Give yourself
That's
a chance.
that's such a great point. Zig Ziglar has a story. It's like a 5 minute story, so clearly I can't tell the whole thing. But basically, there's a boss who gets a speeding ticket on the way back to the office. He gets angry at the secretary. The secretary gets angry at the other person in the office. The other person in the office takes it home, gets angry at her kid, and then the kid gets angry at the cat and kicks the cat. And moral is, so Zig's like, wouldn't it have been easier if the boss just went to their house and kicked the cat himself?
It's way less people involved. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, getting rid of it before it becomes a problem or other people's
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, sometimes it's skillful to remember that when somebody's just being troublesome, whose cat are they kicking,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so my last one for how to be quiet. Uh so I've been meditating for a long time. You and I both have been meditating
Yeah,
for a long time. It
very
wasn't
helpful.
until recently, because like meditation is hard, nobody wants to do it, everybody thinks they're doing it wrong, takes a long time, blah 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 blah. Well, I've known about Wim Hof method for a few years. I started doing regularly between like 3 and 6 months ago. And dude, it's like everything you ever wanted from meditation, you can get it from Wim Hof method way quicker. And
Yeah.
it's just like, and it's like insane how it just quiets the mind after like 5 minutes. Insane. Because everybody goes into meditation hoping for a quiet mind. And what they get is their mind going, and they're like, I'm doing it
Yeah.
wrong because my mind's going a mile a minute. But like Wim Hof is something where actually you sit down, you do the breathing for 5 minutes, and your mind's quiet. And it's just like, wow.
It is funny because it does regular meditation does take a crazy long time to get to the point where you can quiet your mind very quickly. Like I can now, but it took forever. Like it did take a long time, but I mean, I'm thankful that like the instruction I had on it was that it was okay that your mind was racing. So like it kind of made sense and it would slowly work itself out. But like, yeah, it does take a long time. And I get why people get frustrated because you feel like people usually go into it with the mentality that they want to see those results soon, unfortunately. But yeah. Yeah, I've heard you've been talking about it a lot too. So I've been meaning I gotta try it soon. I
Yeah,
keep
dude.
telling
It's
myself.
it's something where, I'm of the mentality where I'm willing to try anything out for a few weeks, see
Yeah,
how it works. And things that work, I keep doing them. And this is just something that's like every time I'm just like, wow, crazy, amazing.
yeah. That's a great mentality too.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it. How to be quiet. Hopefully you can find some quiet in your day and start to find, yourself and balance. If you guys like this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us out a lot. Check us out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. We'll be back later this week with a full-length episode. And until then, later, man.
Later, Danny.